Now we'll switch to Photoshop and make this background. We'll create this composition from 5 or 6 photos. Switch to Photoshop. Go to File menu and click on Open. Select all photos from the 22 folder. All these photos are opened as tabs. We can switch between them by clicking on tabs up here. We can also undock each of these pictures. To do that, just drag the tab, wait for it to change into a window and release the mouse button. We can also do that in a slightly different way. Go to the Window menu, then Arrange, and click on Float All in Windows. This way all tabs were converted to windows. We can also reverse this process. To do that, go to Windows menu, then Arrange, and click on Consolidate All to Tabs. Now all the pictures are presented in tabs. Go to the Window menu, then Arrange and click on Float All in Windows. Now each photo is in a separate window, which we can scale and move. Go to File menu and click on New. Change the name to Hun1. Expand this drop-down list and switch to Units to millimeters. We can now input the correct size or just choose the A4 format from the presets drop-down list. Set the width to 210 and height to 297 millimeters. Set the resolution mode to pixels/inch. Change the resolution value to 300 and click OK. Undock our new document from the tabs bar. Let's change the background colour of our document. Click on the foreground colour, choose a colour from this palette, then click OK. Go to the Edit menu and click on Fill. From the drop-down list, choose Foreground Colour and click OK. As you can see, the background was filled with the blue colour. So, a document format is A4 and the resolution is 300 pixels per inch. Let's start creating the background for our hungry cover. Switch to Lasso tool. To select this tool, click with your right mouse button on the third icon from the top. Set the feather radius to 20 pixels. So again, choose the Lasso tool and set the feather radius to 20 pixels. Now, draw a random shape selection. Try not to go too close to the edge. Now switch to the Move tool. Hold Ctrl, click on the selection and drag it to our Hun1 document. Activate the Show Transform Controls option. Hold Shift and upscale the photo. To scale objects proportionally in Photoshop, we hold Shift and drag one of the transformation handles. Once the photo is scaled, press Enter or click on this icon here to accept the transformation. We now need to repeat these actions with all of the photos. We don't need this one anymore, so let's minimize it. Switch to the next photo. Select the Lasso tool and draw a random selection, just like this. Remember to avoid going too close to the edge of the photo. Switch to Move tool and drag the selection into our document. Press Ctrl and plus to zoom in. Hold Shift, upscale the photo, then press Enter. Let's switch to the next photo. Switch to the Lasso tool, draw a selection and avoid going too close to the edge. Switch to the Move tool and drag the selection to our document. Hold Shift and upscale the photo and accept the transformation by pressing Enter. Let's copy the next photo. Again, switch to the lasso tool and draw the selection. We don't need to change the feather radius anymore. Switch to the Move tool and drag the selection to a document. We already have 4 photos. Let's copy one more. Switch to the lasso tool and draw a selection. Now switch to Move tool again and drag the selection to a document. Of course, we need to remember that for this kind of work we need photos in big resolutions. The most important palette in Photoshop is the Layers palette. Undock this palette from the right hand side menu. Now close all other palettes. Scale and position the Layers palette. Let's talk about the order of the layers. The top layer is the layer 5. All other layers are placed under the top layer. Switch to layer 5 and move its contents. As you can see, layer 5 contains this photo with a swimming pool. Let's upscale it a little and press Enter. Now move the layer 5 under layer 1. As you can see, the photo is placed under the contents of the layer. Select layer 1, move this photo, upscale it, and press Enter to accept the transformation. Move the layer 1 to the top of the layers list. Now switch to layer 4. Upscale the photo and press Enter to accept the transformations. So we need to switch between layers in order to edit and modify their contents. But there's also a way to switch between layers without clicking on the layers list. Hold Ctrl and click on this element. As you can see, the program automatically switched us to the layer which contains this element. Make sure that the Show Transformation Controls is ready. Let's now hold Ctrl and click on another photo. As you can see, the program automatically switched us to this layer. Let's now move this layer to the top of the layers list. Let's place this photo at the top of the document. Hold Ctrl and click on the other photo. Place this layer on top of the layers list and position the photo. So this is how we can move these photos and create a nice background for our cover. Hold Ctrl and click on the next photo. If we wouldn't hold Ctrl while clicking on the photo, we had to switch between layers by clicking on their names in the Layers palette. Select the layer 3 and move it to the top of the layer. Hold Ctrl, click on the photo and move it. Well, there's still one more photo that we need to position. Press Ctrl, click on the photo and position it. Hold Ctrl and click on this photo and move it up. Try to fill the whole document space with photos. Of course, we're doing all of this without masks. We don't know Photoshop that well at the moment, but don't worry, we'll get to that. Hold Ctrl, select the top photo and move it up. I think our background's about ready now. Let's now merge the layers into one. Go to the Layer menu and click on Flatten Image. Most of the options from this menu are also available under the right mouse button. Click on the layer with the right mouse button. Go down and click on the Flatten Image option. All layers will merge into one layer. By doing that, we've lost the ability to move each photo separately. Switch to Corel and select the orange figure. Go to File menu and click on Export. Change the name of the file to S2. Set type to PSD, activate the selected only option and click Export. Leave all these options at default and click OK. Switch to Photoshop, go to File menu and click Open. So what happened when we exported the orange figure? A new PSD file was created containing only the orange figure. Go to File and click Open. Select the S2 file and click on Open. Undock this tab and move it to the side. Now drag this orange figure into our document. Position the orange figure like this. Now we'll use reddies. Well, at least I call them reddies. In reality, they're called layer styles. Go to Layer menu and access the Layer Styles submenu. Select Layer 1. You can also access the layer styles by clicking on this FX icon at the bottom of the Layers palette. Click on the FX icon. We'll use the Inner Shadow style. Go to Layer menu, then Layer Styles and click on Inner Shadow. Try to change the size of the shadow. As you can see, we can observe the changes in our file. You can also play with the opacity value. Let's say it looks good now, and click on OK. We're not analysing the Photoshop options now, but don't worry, we'll learn about them at another time. Let's talk about the Flatten Image option a little. This option has a major downside to it. When we flatten our image, we can't further edit the placement of each element in our document. Let's switch to Layer 1. Click twice on the Effects tab under Layer 1. As you can see, the Layer Styles palette appeared. To access the Inner Shadow options, we need to select it from the side menu. Let's now try to click twice on the Inner Shadow tab under Effects. As you can see, Inner Shadow window options appeared, so that's how we can access this option. We can also expand and collapse the list of effects by clicking on this bar on the right hand side of the layer. Let's now learn how to delete the layer style. Click on the layer with the right mouse button and select Clear Layer Style option. As you can see, the inner shadow disappeared from our figure. Let's undo the changes by going to Edit menu and clicking on Step Backward. You can also do this by pressing Alt-Control-Z shortcut. Now we'll flatten all layers in our document. Click on the Layer 1 with the right mouse button and select the Flatten Image option. Now we can't move or modify separate parts of our image. Go to File menu and then click on Save As. Let's save our cover in PSD. Expand the Format drop-down list and select Photoshop Format. Change the file's name to H_1 and click OK. So that's the end of our work in Photoshop. Switch to CorelDraw. Move the orange figure to the side. Go to File menu and click on Import. Select our file and then click on Import. Click once to place the picture in our document. Select the background and go to Arrange menu, then Order and click on To Back of Layer. If we don't like the placement of the text, we can now correct it. Let's make the next element. Switch to Rectangle tool and draw a rectangle. Change its colour to white and delete its outline. Let's make the corners of this rectangle rounded. Change the corner bend value to 5. Maybe that's a bit big. Change it to 2. Still a bit big. Let's try different numbers. Let's set it to 0.2. Now we'll make this rectangle transparent. Switch to Transparency tool. It's the 5th tool from the bottom. Draw a line from the left to the right side of the rectangle. Let's change the transparency type. Expand this drop-down list and click on the Uniform option. Now we need to bring the Vital logo to the front. Switch to the white cursor, hold Alt and click on the logo. You can also just move the rectangle to the side and select the logo. Once the logo is selected, go to Arrange menu, then Order and click on to Front of Layer. Now position the rectangle. Let's downscale a little. Select the Rectangle tool and switch to Transparency tool. This scroll bar regulates the strength of the transparency effect. Let's set it to 60% and press Enter. Maybe that's a little too much. Let's set a smaller value. Change it to 50% and press Enter. Press Shift and F4. As you can see, our cover is almost ready. Switch to the Ellipse tool and draw a circle. Change its colour to orange and delete its outline. Switch to Interactive Fill icon and create a gradient colour. Expand this drop-down list, then select Radial Gradient Type. This way we've created a sort of marble figure. Let's now apply a shadow to it. Select the Drop Shadow tool. Click on the fifth icon from the top and select the fourth tool called Drop Shadow. Draw a shadow line, start at the left edge and bring it to the right edge of the marble. Press Shift and F4 and downscale the marble. Now place the marble. Duplicate it several times and place the copies at the edge of the orange figure. So that's how we can do that element. Now we'll create a bleed limit for this cover. Go to Arrange menu, then Transformations and click on Scale. Select the middle left grid point. Let's change the Y value. Let's choose something big this time. Change the Y value to 12 inches and press Enter. The bleed limit is ready. After printing, the area outside the page will be cut at the cover and it will have an A4 format. Press Ctrl S to save the changes to our document. Of course, when we scale the background, some of the element might have changed their positions. Switch to white cursor and position each of these elements separately. We can just quickly correct it and the whole cover will look perfect after printing. Press Ctrl S.